All righty. Happy Monday, everybody. Section 1904. It's a Monday. It's a weekend recap. Plenty to recap from the last time that John and I were podcasting. I'm Darren Smith. He's John Gennaro. This is Section 1904, 100% ad-free, listener-supported podcast media company right here in San Diego. Section1904.com is our website. If you're a subscriber to the podcast, which you can be for as low as $5 a month, you can get access to the Front Row Seat newsletter, which arrives in the inbox weekdays, usually by about 7:15, 7:30 in the morning. Access to the Discord channel, access to our YouTube channel, other things that we are doing exclusively for our supporters. So we would appreciate it if you listen to the Monday podcast. You think that's pretty good. I wouldn't mind supporting these guys. They're making an effort. They're proving that they're going to be doing this consistently every single day. Then why not think about subscribing? Or maybe you have a fan of one of ours somewhere in your ecosystem and you want to donate or gift a subscription. You could do that as well. Section1904.com will have all the information. Again, I'm Darren Smith. He's John Gennaro. John, how was your weekend?
Busy and very filled with sports. Like I forgot. I guess I always forget that when the calendar turns to September, especially on the weekends, there is so much happening for sports that you're gonna miss something. So I watched a lot. I caught a lot. I'm sure I missed something, if not a lot of some things. And we have so much to talk about. Welcome to fall, buddy.
Yeah, welcome to fall. Welcome to the welcome to September, and then the really congested calendar, as they say. Yeah, I mean, even from Friday, I was thinking about that. I did watch a little bit of the NFL. Friday night for Padres was about as low as it could have been all season long. And then you think about everything else from college football and San Diego State. And I'm watching a lot of international soccer, which I don't know how good that is for my health. And then a full slate of NFL games. And you're trying to be a human being and a good husband and a father. And you're trying to get out, get a little bit of exercise, doing that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, we could do an entire episode today, and I don't think anybody would object. It might not be for everybody, but we could do an entire episode today on the Padres. We can do an entire episode today, or at least a good portion of this podcast on the NFL, or on college football, or on San Diego State, or on San Diego Wave, or on the Savannah Bananas, or on the U.S. Open, right? Like there's so many of those things that happen over the weekend. I don't know that we'll have time for it all unless we're going to go lightning round, but do appreciate it. We're a little bit later than we normally are here on a Monday. That was not exactly by design, but however it is that you're picking us up here, whether it's live, whether it's on demand, we do appreciate it. I also just want to point one thing out real quick for those that are subscribers to Section 1904 who are active on the Discord channel. We did add a football channel, a football tab on the Discord channel. And all I want to say is you don't have to contribute to that if it's not your thing. Right? Like there are lots of people that don't go to the Formula One tab. There are lots of people that probably don't go to the SDFC tab.
Yep.
It's okay not to contribute to the football tab if it's not for you. If you think that the majority of this podcast or the majority of the interaction is baseball, that's fine. I don't know how much time I'm going to spend on the football tab, John. You'll probably spend more time than I. But we have added that because we sort of dangled it out there if this is something people would want now that college football weekend number 2 is in the books and NFL weekend number 1 is mostly in the books. So that is there. I don't know if you're planning to contribute to that with all of your Dallas Cowboys woes, but it is available for you if you need it.
Woes! My Dallas Cowboys almost beat the Eagles last week.
Wow.
I was proud of them for not making total asses of themselves on national television. I will probably contribute to that. Yeah, you don't need to contribute to every channel. They're just there if you want a conversation about that thing. I know plenty of people in our Discord that won't go near the politics channel. That's fine. It's not for you then.
Yep.
You can avoid it. Hey, can we go
Sorry,
backwards?
I'm cleaning
for a
my
second?
camera here because I feel like it's so hot. What happened to this heat? I thought it was supposed to break. It is muggy where I live, and I do not have air conditioning, and things are steaming up.
That's brutal. I think today is supposed to be the last like real day of the heat wave. Don't ask me how I know that. I've been looking at Southern California weather stuff for tomorrow for various reasons. Can we rewind for a second? I have a thing that I've been wanting to talk to you about since Saturday morning, but we've both been so busy this weekend that we just I never got to it, and I was wondering if you saw it because I said, I think on Friday, that this series where the Padres are going to Colorado and they're playing the Rockies, I was like, they can't win anything here. They can't leave this series and we're like, all right, they're fixed, at least not for me. But they can, handle business. And then we're like, okay, fine, they handle business. They beat a terrible team. And eventually that's kind of where we got. But on Friday, they get blanked by what everyone agrees is a pretty bad pitcher. They score no runs at Coors Field against a bad pitcher, which again just furthers my theory that this team can't hit lefties because I'm pretty sure it was a lefty. But in the Gamer, which I don't think was written by Kevin Acee, it wasn't. It was written by Jeff Sanders. Acee probably got the series off. It shows you how important it is. Right at the end of the game recap, did you get the quotes from Schilt and Tatis, one on top of the other, or did you miss it?
Probably missed it.
Okay. I thought this was interesting. I'm going to read
But
this.
remind me, because I might have seen it and it has slipped my mind.
I'm going to tell you why I'm going to read this. Is I thought this was oh no, the whole thing could be going down kind of moment. Now, they've scored 18 runs in their next two games. They won those. It didn't happen, thank goodness. But this is how close we got. Here's a quote from Schilt about the Padres getting blanked by Kyle Freeland. Quote, I guess the fastball was just looking different to some guys, and the slider had a little different shape than we were used to. He threw the ball well, controlled the counts. The discouraging part was just the lack of adjustments as the game went.
Yeah,
We tip our we tip our hat, but we talk about being better as the game goes, and we just didn't make the adjustments necessary to be able to get more consistent traffic, consistent at bats, and be able to do anything to shorten his outing. We spent months going, Mike Schilt doesn't criticize his players ever. That's a criticism of his players. And it kind of sounds like coaching. Like, why are you criticizing the players for not making in-game adjustments? Shouldn't you be telling them to make in-game adjustments? Shouldn't you be going to them with the in-game adjustments you want them to make and asking them to do it? Is this I asked them to do a thing and they didn't do it? Kind of besides the point, but we're gonna park that right there. Then after that quote, Jeff writes, Tatis didn't go that far. The story of the game as far as Tatis was concerned was Freeland and not anything that the Padres weren't adjusting to. You know what they say about good pitching. And here's the Tatis quote. He located his pitches. Umpire had a big zone, and Freeland didn't really give anything in the heart of the plate. So there's not much you can do on that. Like having those quotes side by side where Schilt is going, we just don't make any adjustments during the game. And Tatis going, it has nothing to do with adjustments. Felt like a real, the pot was boiling moment. And I was waiting for the moment where, like, if they got blanked again, that Schilt was going to say something similar and a player was going to have to come back with, like, well, tell me how you did it when you were a player, Mike. Oh, that's right. Like, it just felt like it was going to turn really, really bad if they didn't score 18 runs and win the next two games, which they did. Am I overthinking this? Because like I woke up Saturday morning, I read that, and I was like, this feels like a pivotal moment in this season, just based on those two quotes alone.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the quotes and I said, well, this is noteworthy. This is certainly interesting that you're at least able to identify what the problem is, but that you can't adjust to it in real time.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know how to take that because you sort of have to, I mean, this is what happens when you just get quotes in a story online. You don't know exactly like what is the follow-up. Oh, wait a second here. What does that mean? What were you expecting somebody to do?
Yeah.
Who is the onus on here? Right? Like you just had said most recently in a press conference after getting swept by the Baltimore Orioles that you needed to be better, which means, Mike Schilt, that I would think everybody on the coaching staff probably needs to hear that siren call, right? So, yeah, I mean, at first I thought like, hey, we prepared for one version of Kyle Freeland, and he gave us a completely opposite version of Kyle Freeland. I still don't think that's any excuse. I don't want to hear about umpiring. Maybe it was the stupid looking uniforms. I don't know. Maybe people thought, this doesn't look like the Colorado Rockies. It reminded me a little bit of that I don't want to put Kyle Freeland and Clayton Kershaw in the same sentence, but it did remind me a little bit in terms of the stuff that Kershaw had that Friday night at Dodger Stadium not too long ago, where he just kind of carved up the Padres with no stuff at all. Like
None.
his fastball was like 88. You're like, what? Please. But it reminded me a little bit of that. Like what? Could Randy Jones go out there and give you 6 innings against the Padres just because he's a crafty lefty? What's the problem here? I like you said, I think it was easy to sweep it a little bit under the mat because they did respond the next couple of days, and it
Yep.
didn't take them long to respond on Saturday. But you're right. Like that was, I think for me, that was a real like bottoming out moment on Friday, where for the
Mhm.
first time, even though we had a podcast last week where we talked to Dylan from Letters to AJ, and we all agreed this team isn't quitting. I started second guessing myself. I started second guessing us that maybe, in fact, this team was just circling the drain and had absolutely no ability to pull itself out of the fire. And that's how I left that on Friday night. Now, admittedly, I didn't spend a ton of time in front of the television on Saturday watching the Padres. I caught a few innings of Sunday's game. I can go by the box score. It's the Rockies. Did you ever hear?
Yes.
Did you ever hear the famous story about Sir Alex Ferguson when he was the manager at Manchester United,
No.
and he walked in? They were facing Tottenham, your club,
Oh,
and he
thanks. This is
walked
gonna
in,
be
and
good.
his whole speech was, "Lads, it's Tottenham," you know.
Yes, I've heard this referenced. I've heard
And
this
like I
referenced.
wondered if Schilt walked into the clubhouse and he's like, "Lads, it's the Rockies. I mean, they've lost 103 games. You know, everybody here is thinking about the Broncos. Let's not make this harder on ourselves." But they couldn't do that. I mean, on Friday night, I was like, "Oh man, like this is is this such an emergency that somebody might get fired just
Yeah.
to try to do something with 2021 games to go left in the remainder of the season? Is that how urgent this is, that somebody should get fired just to send away? Like, how would that even work? And who would it even be?" That's how bad things were Friday. But to your point, John, I think by the time, now one game back, 19 to go, it's really two because of the tiebreaker. I'm going to keep
Mhm.
saying it that way just so everybody doesn't think I'm a complete idiot that I don't know how to read the standings. And it's the Cincinnati Reds, and it's the penultimate series, but it stood out to me. I have a feeling we would chat a lot more about that had the results not gone the way of the Padres
Oh,
on,
for
on
sure.
Saturday and Sunday, for sure. Because I thought the same thing. I was like, what is happening with this team that they're not even preparing for Kyle Freeland, who was only available in that game because he got ejected against the Giants because he got into it with Rafael Devers.
Yeah, he pitched like 2 days before, right? And he threw like a couple pitches before that Devers
And,
thing.
and I'm sitting there like, oh, man, whoever the interim manager is of the Rockies, thank God they took him out of the game. I mean, I'm literally sitting there at the end of the eighth inning like, did the Padres a favor? They brought in some other guy. We got a chance.
Yeah, and that's how I feel about the series. Like the fact that they won on Saturday and Sunday and scored 18 runs, like I take away nothing from that. People are like, "Oh, the offense is back." You're playing the
Yeah,
Rockies, who, as
yeah.
we mentioned, are like
It's the
40 and
Rockies, lads.
100. It's the Rockies, lads, and they play in a place where offense is just easy. People are like, "Oh, that Tatis home run, he's coming back." Well, it's Coors Field, buddy.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, if anything, I thought there were a couple of things that we could talk about, just isolated, if you don't mind. I don't mean to cut in front of you there.
no, I have one
But like
thing, but
Randy
I think you're gonna
Vasquez, gave you some really significant innings.
yeah.
And listen, I don't want to complain about a win and a series win, but like Dylan Cease did not. Like my guy. I mean, 5. I know it's hard to pitch there, but 5. I don't know. And the games were again, they were more relief than they were joyous. I mean, if you wanted to like be happy about baseball, watch the Savannah Bananas. Don't watch the Padres,
Yeah.
right? Because the Padres, there's not a bunch of joy there. It's just a bunch of like, I'm tired. I'm exhausted watching this. And again, it's a product of playing at Coors Field in Denver, Colorado. Absolutely. But still oh man, there are times where you're still, well, I'm glad we got the win, but cease 5 innings. I guess it is what it is.
Yeah, I did find it funny when I went to Padres.com this morning, and the headline for that game was Cease puts finishing touches on Padres rotations weekend rebound. Like, it's the Rockies, man, and he wasn't even that great.
I would like a little more than 5 from him in a game
Yeah.
where you're up big, but
Right.
they know his body better than
I guess. Yeah. Well, okay. So
especially with Darvish going tonight. You don't have any off days until next Monday.
and Tuesday,
Don't have a starter.
well, they named a starter this morning. It's Michael King
Yeah.
for tomorrow. And
I missed that.
that's weird because the last time he pitched was literally a month ago. It will be 1 month between starts. And the last time he pitched a month ago, he pitched 2 innings. So that means since May 18th, he has thrown 2 major league innings, and he's the starter tomorrow. And per Kevin Acee, the Padres are like, well, that puts him on schedule for 4 starts before the playoffs, which will be enough of a ramp up for him to give us what we need come playoff time. Again, I feel uncomfortable with how much ramp up and rehab and working back from stuff they're doing with the major league team.
Don't have
Uh,
time.
but yeah, I guess they don't have time. I guess he can't ramp up in AAA, I suppose. The only thing that I took from this series was the Schilt thing on Friday, which I felt like was a real tipping point moment that didn't end up tipping. So I guess good on them. And B, Mike Schilt did the thing. He did the thing yesterday that Dylan and I were talking about, where Luis Ariz got moved from first to second. Jake Cronenworth got moved from second to short, so that O'Hearn could play first, Sheets could play DH. You still have Laureano in left, and Jackson Merrill, who has, I don't know if you saw this, they kept putting on the screen, has one of the craziest OPSs you've ever seen when he's hitting at Coors Field. Had a pretty good weekend of hitting at center field. So he did the thing that I said when we had Dylan on, like, I want Iglesias out of the lineup, and this is the easiest way to do it. He did it, and boom, what do you know? Bunch of offense. Now, granted, they did this bunch of offense on Saturday, too, with Mason McCoy playing short instead of Iglesias. That one didn't work as well. But, if we're going to criticize Schilt for being stubborn, we should also praise him when he makes good decisions or maybe goes against what he was trying to do and tries something new. I said I wanted him to try something new. He tried something new. It worked. We'll see.
But was it fair? I mean, but how fair was that to Jake Cronenworth to ask him to play a position that he hasn't played all season long, John? Because that's really what I think we should be focusing on, is whether or not that was fair to ask Jake Cronenworth to play shortstop. I know that's my ultimate concern here. Not whether he can actually do it or whether he can come through or he can do it and look adequate at it. But
He looked like a
is
Gold
it
Glover.
fair?
Apparently it's fair. He looked great. He looked fantastic at shortstop. He looked almost as good as Jose Iglesias, but a better hitter. So good for him. I don't think I have anything else on the Padres. I can go over what the tiebreaker scenario is with the Cubs, who they're 3 games back of, and the wild card. I don't care. Catch the Dodgers. I don't care about the Cubs. Catch the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's there. I mean, it's there right in front of you, right? So,
Yeah.
in terms of strength of schedule remaining, not that this hasn't backfired before, Padres have the second easiest, according to tankathon.com. The Brewers, the Mets, Cincinnati tonight. They also get to play the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Colorado Rockies for 4 this week, the White Sox for 3. The Dodgers have the 7th easiest schedule. They still have to play the Phillies, the Mariners, the Giants. I'm sorry, I'm just not bought in on the Giants. I wasn't last week. I'm certainly not after the weekend. They also will get the Colorado Rockies for 3 and the Arizona Diamondbacks for 3. So just for what it's worth,
Easy schedule.
yeah, it is. I still think that the Brewers at home, the Padres do also get to play their remaining after this series, where it's 3 with Cincinnati. We could spend a minute on Cincinnati if you want. And then it's 4 with the Colorado Rockies, who I'm presuming to be on vacation mode when they get here. And then end of the season, it'll be the Brewers and the Diamondbacks. And I presume the Diamondbacks will be on vacation mode when they get here as well, because it's their final trip together as a group to San Diego. Those guys are going to be out in the club. I promise you.
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
The Brewers that were left off your list as teams that might have their foot off the gas.
Yeah, I don't know how to evaluate that. I mean,
They're
are they
7.5 up on the Cubs. They're 7.5 up. Now, granted,
they might be saying that we're not going to push starters at that point.
Yeah. I don't. I think they want to win as many games as possible. Hey, we won 98 games this season or whatever.
Mhm.
But I don't like if the game goes sideways, they're not going to fight like hell to get it back. All right, we'll get them tomorrow. And so there's something to that.
Unless, it's become a thing in baseball too, where teams now seem like they're a little bit leery about the potential buys. And if they're clinching one of those top 2 seeds and they're here at the end of the regular season, I can remember this from a couple of years ago, not to make any excuses. Padres beat the Dodgers fair and square in the NLDS of 2023. 2.
Two.
2022.
Yeah.
But I do remember, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know who I'm talking about. But I spent a little bit of time around there was a series right at the end of the year where the Dodgers came to town, and the Padres. I think it was noteworthy because the Padres, I think, may have swept them at the end of the regular season, and I was hanging out, being a groupie in front of the Dodger dugout before the game. And it wasn't just Dodger employees. I mean, there were some other people around there I will not name. They were like, "This team doesn't give a shit. Like they like they are just here not to care about this at all." And the Padres were very much had to clinch playoff spot. I think second to last regular season game of the season. Anyway, the point was, like, I do remember talking with a couple of Dodger people standing in front, and they were leery about that bye. It was the first year of the bye, and they were like, "Yeah, like we're not so sure that anybody can really flip a switch." I'm only bringing this up just because history has now suggested that maybe the bye is not a great thing, and how you try to play down the stretch and keep an edge is a little bit of a challenge. And if there's a coach out there who I think can try to whip you up into this kind of lather, it might be somebody like Pat Murphy. Now, again, I'll believe it when I see it. Maybe they're going to come out here and they're just going to, go to the beach. It's possible.
Right.
But, I do think these teams now are trying to figure out, well, what can I do to not completely just tail off at the end of these regular seasons? And, maybe there will be some of that, but we don't need to evaluate that today. That's all.
Yeah. And I think we can hold off on previewing the Reds. Like, the Reds are 500
It's a
ball
big one,
club.
John. They're all big.
They're all big. They're all big. I thought this was in Cincinnati for a second, but this is home at Petco Park. Like, if they score 8 runs tonight against a 500 ball club and the Reds, I'll feel a lot better about that than I will them scoring 8 runs at Coors Field against the Rockies.
Yeah, Reds have something to play for here. I mean, they're outside. There aren't but so many opportunities for the Reds really to take on teams that are ahead of them in the NL wildcard standings. Now, I know, like you said, we're probably spending more time talking about being 2 games back of the Dodgers at this point, 79 and 64, 68 and 75. But, Cincinnati's probably thinking, how many more opportunities are we going to get to face teams that are ahead of us in the wild card standings? And this would be one of them. Now, their schedule's murder. They have the Brewers, they have the Cubs, they have the Padres. They have to go to, St. Louis isn't very good, but St. Louis can be a pain in that division, especially down the stretch. So, I'm sure they're viewing this series probably a little bit differently than let's say the Rockies will be when they get into town on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I think that's true. You mentioned them. Did you watch any of the Savannah Bananas this weekend?
I did not watch any of it live. I read your recaps at section1904.com.
Mhm.
I enjoyed your recaps at section1904.com. I enjoyed the clips that you used at section1904.com. I, like many other people, enjoyed seeing the clip of Trevor Hoffman entering the game on Saturday night for the Savannah Bananas. I would tell you, though, I think the overall experience of the Savannah Bananas, not that I experienced it live or watched it or went to it or even really was tempted to go to it, is probably not for me. But if other people enjoyed it, I'm certainly glad to hear that, because the world is very dreary and you can feel very bleak. And if people took some enjoyment in in whatever that was on Friday and Saturday night, then I am thrilled for those people.
I'm glad you said that. Because I went for a bike ride with Alex Pena from he's one of our subscribers. He's also one of the co-hosts of the Chromaniacs podcast. And we went for a bike ride on Saturday morning, and I told him about, my experience watching the Bananas on Friday night once the Padres were disgustingly off my screen. And I had 2 takeaways. One is cute and one is funny. The cute one is that my daughter often walks in when I'm watching the Padres and goes like, "Ugh, baseball." And when she came in and the Bananas were on, she looked and she was like, "Oh, they're dancing. Oh, they're doing a fun thing." And she was into the entertainment of it. And I was like,
Sure.
"Oh, okay, this is definitely meant for kids." And then I saw a post on TikTok or Instagram almost right around the time the game ended. I'm not gonna play it. I don't have it. I didn't chase it down, but it was a woman, a younger woman, probably in her early to mid 20s. She had a few. It was pretty obvious based on the slurring of her words and her camera work. And she She essentially was posting this so that members of the Bananas or the firefighters who they played against might see it. And she was like, hey, if you are a Savannah Banana or you are a firefighter, come find me and my friend. Come find us. We need a date. We need a date. Come find. We'll go out on the town with you. Let's do it. And I was like, wow, this is like a little sad that this girl's making this whole thing just to try and get a date with one of the ball players. And then she ends it with, because we came to this game thinking there was going to be all sorts of single men here, and it's nothing but dads and kids.
Oh,
And I was like, you know what? That makes sense. Based on watching the Savannah Bananas, it makes sense that that audience was almost entirely dads and kids.
yeah. Okay. So what did she think? She thought she was going to the Chippendale show.
Yeah, or she thought it was gonna be like the same Padres audience, but with a more entertaining product in front of it.
Hmm.
But no, my daughter would have been very happy if it was me and her in the audience, and I'm sure there
Yeah.
was a lot of kids there who were thrilled. But yeah, not a great scene to go pick up single guys apparently.
Yeah, and again, I know I could do the thing where I sit here and just kind of make fun of it, but yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people probably that didn't spend one single second of their weekend watching the Republic of Ireland play Hungary in a 2-2 draw. So I did. That's what I like doing. So I don't want anybody telling me that that's a waste of my fucking time. So I don't want to tell anybody that this is a waste of their time. That's what I enjoy doing, and that's fine. But if other people want to go ahead and do this, I saw the clips. It doesn't make me want to do it if they come through town again. But again, place was packed. Everybody seemed to enjoy it. The Trevor moment, yes. Having been in that building many, many times, having lived downtown to where I could literally hear the bells in my living room when Trevor used to
Yeah,
come into some of these games. It's a special thing.
yeah.
It's the best. It's the original. Everything about it. It is still the best, even though there's now a bunch of pyrotechnics and light shows and everything else. It still is the best because it's the original one in Major League Baseball. So I still do love that. Although I will say, can I just ask a couple of quick follow-ups?
Yeah, please.
After Trevor gets the save, there's some sort of dance routine on the field. What is going on there? What is
I
happening here? Because I was looking at like, wait a minute, did Trevor have to learn how to dance for this? Now it turns out he was off to the side doing the post-game interview. But as soon as the final out was recorded and Trevor picks up the save, inverted commas, he then there's some sort of dance routine on the field at Petco Park. What is happening?
It was very obvious to me that there was two things that every player on the field was required to do. One, dance for celebratory moments. Like you get a hit, you get a home run, you strike a guy out, you dance. Uh, and the second thing, which I personally appreciated, was if the pitch is a strike, swing. Like I don't know if you saw any of the, probably not, any of the times that someone got four balls, what would essentially be a walk. Those plays are awesome. Those plays are wildly exciting. I
Why? What
saw.
happens?
So I was trying. I think I explained this on Friday. So if you
You
throw four,
did. Forgive me. I've forgotten.
if you throw four balls to a batter, then every player on the pitching team, the
Oh,
defensive
right,
team,
right, right.
has to touch the ball before you're allowed to get the guy out. So in the fourth ball, the guy drops the bat and sprints because he can usually make it to second base before everyone touches the ball. But what's cool is all the players on the field start running towards the center of the field. So all the outfielders are running in and they got to catch the ball while they're running and throw it to the next guy while he's running. And they're all basically going towards second base. And there was a bang bang play where like the right fielder was the last one to touch it, and he throws it to second base. Second baseman catches it, gets his glove down, tags the guy, he's out. Those were wildly exciting. They had a lot of stuff like that that was really entertaining. Probably not great in terms of like strategy or whatever, but wildly entertaining. But yeah, every time anything happened, dancing was required. I can tell based on your question that you did not watch Heath Bell come in and
Did
pitch
not.
an at bat. Man, that he's a big fella these days, and he got a ground ball out as well, same as Trevor, and then he flossed on the mound. I don't know if you know what flossing is,
Yeah, I
one of
do.
those dances the kids do, and then he flossed on the mound. And I was like, and it was very half-hearted. And I was like, oh yeah, they told you like, hey, you have to dance. Like I know you were
Trevor
a
didn't dance
Padre.
though, unless I missed it on the clip that
No,
was posted at
he
section1904.com.
wandered off while the team danced, but also it was the end of the game. He came in like Heath Bell came in like the sixth inning or whatever they called it, and got an out, and then the game continued on. Trevor got the end of the game and then got to walk off into the sunset.
So here's the reason why I watch sports because, like I said, I mean, I'm sort of joking, but I'm not. that I'm watching this World Cup qualifier between Ireland and Hungary, and Ireland scores in stoppage time to equalize, to give themselves a chance at World Cup qualification, right? And the thing I'm drawn to about sports is its authenticity. Like I'm genuinely interested in how a U.S. Open Cup or a U.S. Open final is going to go between Yannick Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz.
This is
Like
why the bananas are not really for me and you, because there's no authenticity there.
that's
Or
what I was
very
going to
little.
ask. Does it
Yeah.
feel like authentic competition that sort of shined up here with some gimmicks, or does
No.
it feel like it's gimmicks and you still got to hit the ball and run the bases and all that
I
stuff?
described it in the Discord as somewhere between minor league baseball and professional wrestling,
Okay.
and I stand by
Well,
that.
lots of people like wrestling. I mean,
Yeah, no, and I said that, and then I was like, I see why this is wildly popular. It's not for me, but I could see why it's wildly popular.
Okay. Did you have any regret of not going?
Well, here to put this comment on the screen, I think I would have been torn if I probably could have gone Friday, and I would have felt bad, just like this guy's buddy who went Friday and felt slighted that he saw Heath Bell and then Trevor Hoffman was on Saturday.
Yeah, you got the losing end on that one.
I'll put it this way. If they come back next year, I will strongly consider taking my daughter. But me personally, like if I had gone by myself, which I sometimes do for Padre games, yeah, I think I would have been bored.
By the way, for those that are listening on demand later, for those that just have the podcast delivered to Apple or Spotify, we are doing this live, so we do have some comments that are popping up. So John and I might spend a minute or two just paying attention to the comments as they're popping up on the screen. But somebody said they did feel a little cheated because they went on Friday and got Heath Bell instead of getting Trevor Hoffman. And I understand that. I understand that. Did Heath Bell, did he come in? He had a weird entrance from the movie 300. Did he do the whole shooting match? Or did he not?
So if I was following it correctly, and the production was a little weird because they were showing a lot of videos of him running out from the bullpen as a Padre, and then they cut to him and he was already on the field, and it looked like he was running the bases, like he kind of ran from first base to third base, and then I don't, maybe he wasn't coming in from the bullpen for whatever reason, and he got on the mound, he got the out, and then it was very funny because he ran from first base to third base, and you could tell while he was on the mound that he was really out of breath and just out of gas from doing that run, like sprinting from first base to third base. He gets the guy out, he flosses, and then of course they have to interview him because he's, the celebrity of the night kind of. And while they're interviewing him, he's, yeah, it's just good to be a part of the bananas out here. And he was,
Well, in fairness, he was never really an abs guy.
I know, which makes it funny that his entrance was to sprint from the bullpen to the infield. Like maybe hold on to some of that energy, buddy.
Do you think you could have had a made contact against Trevor Hoffman based on what you saw?
Me personally?
Yeah.
No. But give me someone who was actually like a halfway decent baseball player. Mike Schilt. Mike Schilt could have made contact against Trevor Hoffman, I think.
Mike Schilt could have made contact against Trevor. I mean, I don't know what the radar gun was showing us there, but
I never got to the point where the pitchers were throwing breaking balls. Like back when we worked at 1090, Coach Quintero used to torture me. This is a fun behind the scenes radio moment. We would have those squishy baseballs lying around all the time that said like Mighty 1090 on them, and Coach would throw them at me in a way that looked like they were going to hit me in the face, and then they would just divert and hit like the wall next to me, and he'd be like, slider, and because he was just being Coach, and I was like, oh, I don't think I would have, if I had a bat, I don't think I could have predicted where that was going to go and hit it. So assuming he was throwing change-ups, no chance. If those were just BP fastballs, sure, maybe. I mean, I
looked
like 70.
Looked like Trevor went to his rare third pitch. Like we were seeing some little bit of curves there.
There was definitely, the whole windup was there, and then at the end when you expected the power, it was just kind of boo.
Yeah. Well, listen, like I said, I mean, the success of the whole thing speaks for itself. Whether you are embracing it or whether you are dismissive of it, it doesn't really matter. I think they sold out both nights at Petco, 40,000 plus both nights. Yeah, yep. I had some mixed reviews from my own social circle of like, yeah, it was just kind of meh. But the highlight seemed to be for anybody that was there on Saturday night that, they got the Trevor experience one more time, which is great.
Yeah,
You know, would I spend
I like that.
$40 for that? I don't know. I think I was probably there enough when it really mattered. So, but it, again, it's nostalgia is good. It's a good reminder. And I think Trevor even afterwards said something to the effect of like, "Hey, I'm not going to lie. Like, you know, this did get my heart racing in a way that very few things can do these days in my post playing career, and I like that about it too. So good for him.
Yeah, made me miss
But
Tony a lot. But we
yeah,
can we can move on. But I did
well, you did the work, and I appreciate that, and you did the reviews, and they were
yeah.
they were both there on Friday and Saturday night. So I think that the people who experienced it, who are inclined to gravitate towards that sort of stuff, appreciate the time that you spent on it. So, like I said, it's just not for me. Like I just it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not for me, you know. But again, like watching a UEFA international match is probably not for a lot of other people. Watching the U.S. Open in the middle of NFL's opening Sunday is probably not for a lot of people, but it's for me. So and I don't want to have anybody tell me that I'm an adult for enjoying these things that I enjoy in my life. But that's
Actually,
the way it is. Live
s-
and let other people enjoy whatever it is that they want.
speaking of enjoying the things that you enjoy, I have a grumpy take. I'm not going to call it a hot take. I'm going to call it a grumpy take.
Okay.
I have a grumpy take, and I really hope you disagree with me. Why did the Wave retire Alex Morgan's jersey number?
Um. Well, I mean, I think that her status in the league probably earned some sort of formal recognition.
I agree with that.
She's also an owner, so if she wants her number retired, then she can retire her own number. She's an owner of the club. But I also think it's okay. It seemed like there was a good crowd. I was kind of curious to see what the crowd would be like
Oh,
on a
people
Sunday
loved
night.
it. Yeah,
It
people
seemed like they
people
did
love a
okay. I
jersey
didn't see an
retirement.
actual number associated with attendance, but it looked like it was a little bit more full than
Mhm.
some of the other matches that I've seen this season. Again, Waves sort of in a little bit of a funk here, where it just has stopped scoring goals altogether. Um, why did they? I mean, what are you saying? Are you trying to be cynical? Are you saying they're doing this because it's a gimmick to sell some tickets? Yeah,
No, no,
maybe.
I just like
Like
maybe this.
like for a club that's in it's so early on in its existence, does it seem odd? But I think it's
Maybe
it's more. Hey, Alex has been so good for this league,
right.
whether it's been Portland or Orlando. Like she's done a lot for this league, and she probably deserves this recognition.
No, I totally agree with that. And I have a clip of her speech, which I thought was really good. But like while I was watching her speech, she was talking to the audience and the crowd and the Wave fans. Like, man, you guys know we've been through a lot over these years. And I'm like, you had 2 good years here.
Yeah.
And then like a horrible season where you were just like, yeah, I was kind of pregnant anyway, and I'm retiring by. Like I it's a 15-year career. It is an amazing 15-year
Hmm.
career. She's won the World Cup twice. She won the Olympics. Like she's one of the greatest female soccer players America has ever produced. She's also maybe the biggest star, one of the two or three biggest stars in women's soccer history from America. I don't doubt that she's amazing. I even like I grabbed this part of this article that ESPN wrote about it, and this was the last paragraph of it. She was a quote unquote nomad during her career, as she described it Sunday. Morgan played for 7 professional clubs on 2 different continents. In addition to several semi professional teams during her career, she won championships for 2 different U.S. professional leagues, as well as the UEFA Champions League. That's great. But like, when I think jersey retirement, and this might be the Garvey hate in my heart, but like when I think jersey retirement, I think like, man, we have almost lived a lifetime together, right? Like I had opportunities to leave and I stayed. Like I just the she was here for 3 years, and I know they've only been around for 4, but like she was here for 3 years of her 15-year career, and they're like, yeah, I gotta retire Alex Morgan's number because but like I don't know. The next person whose number gets retired for the Wave is probably going to be someone who the fans I feel like have a closer relationship with, but maybe I'm wrong about that. It just felt weird. It felt weird to
Yeah,
me.
I don't know.
But
She's the all-time leading scorer and assist leader in club history, John.
well, for now. I'll play this video because it was very
Yeah, I
good.
mean, listen, I know what you're saying, and I think this comes up every year. I remember people who would argue about Trevor Hoffman. Like, should Trevor Hoffman be like, I don't know, like, is it the worst thing in the world? Probably not.
No.
I don't. I mean, I don't know that my standard for this sort of acknowledgement or recognition is so high that I'm going to choose to be cynical about it. I'm not saying that you're not raising a fair point.
No, I wanted you to counteract me. I feel like this is a stupid, grumpy take. I don't like the fact that I'm cynical like this.
I think it's I mean, you could apply like Kevin Durant had his number retired at. I'll give you another one. Kawhi Leonard had his number retired at San Diego State. Played 2
That's
years.
college, though. He couldn't stay longer if he. Well, I guess he could have stayed
Played 2
another
years.
year if he wanted to. In 2 years, he could play 2 more years. But like, it's not like he can. Like, I feel like in the pros, like I don't know if Kevin Durant's number is going to be retired by the Brooklyn Nets.
Right, but it was retired by Texas after 1 year, one and done.
Yeah,
I think they lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament.
in college.
So, I don't know. These
I feel
things
like
gotta happen.
that's a recruiting thing where you're like bringing guys in, going, "Hey, Kevin Durant? Look at that number up there. We had Kevin Durant." But like I feel like in the pros, you have to spend like 6 or 7 years somewhere for a fan base to really get to know you. All right, let me play this.
Yeah, but
this
NWSL
video.
just I mean, it's been around that long, but San Diego Wave has not been.
I know,
You
and
know,
she's probably a
and
big reason why they exist. Like
well,
maybe
she's a big
not.
reason why they set a bunch of attendance records that first season. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about that.
Yeah.
When she was playing for Wave, you would see it. I remember talking to Jill Ellis and others that when they would travel around the country, everybody's every team what they would how can I say this? They would see the biggest attendance spike when Wave would come to their cities because of Alex Morgan. Every team's biggest gate was when Wave would come because of Alex Morgan.
Yeah, that makes sense. And she
Yeah,
like
and
again,
and
she's
again,
a
like she sort of
huge-
just like it was so quick, like things happened so quickly. That first season was good, and then the second season they won a little bit, and then the third season, like I said, she completely falls off the radar. She isn't scoring for club, she isn't scoring for country. She gets dropped. Remember that she got dropped from the U.S. Women's National Team, only brought in due to some sort of injury crisis there, and it went quickly. And then when she was gone, because the women were playing in the women's World Cup, she got pregnant. She couldn't play anymore. So,
Yeah.
it wasn't even like she had a proper farewell. It
Right.
wasn't even like you could say, all right, Alex's career is winding down the way other players' careers have winded down and pick whatever sport it is. You never really even had that with her because what happened was like she was not productive. And then she got dropped from the women's national team. And then when the NWSL went on its summer break because of the World Cup, by the time everybody reconvened, she's like, yo, I'm pregnant. Like, I'm out. Like, so and she played that one game where she played 10 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
She tried to play 13 minutes. And even then it's like, she never really had anything for. So anyway, I think it's okay. I'm okay with it. I'm good, John. I'll allow it. Let's hear what she had to say.
To the young girls and boys in the stadium, this wasn't a possibility for 7-year-old Alex. 7-year-old Alex had a dream of playing
Should I be
soccer,
hearing something?
but not in my wildest dreams could I imagine standing up here seeing my number get retired, because it just wasn't possible. And now it is. And it's here, it's home with you. So thank you so much. This means everything.
All right. I don't know why you didn't hear that, but hopefully the audience heard that because I heard that. And I thought she gave a great speech talking about what she thought her biggest dreams were when she was 7 years old, and how she ended up just absolutely destroying them, flying past them, and doing things that she thought were not even possible, and then thanking San Diego and the fans and whatever. It was a good
And she's still
speech.
incredibly popular. I mean, some of these images
Right.
of seeing her walking through and people with signs and children and young girls and
Oh, my daughter's got an Alex Morgan Wave jersey.
people like
that's
still in tears,
very popular.
just even at the mere sight being in the same presence as her. Like it's, still got it, man. Still got it. So, good on her. And like I said, when she arrived in town, like there's never really been a player quite like that, and we live in a baseball, football, like gridiron football kind of universe where everything gets compared to, the popularity of Manny Machado. But like, this is a different form of popularity that Alex Morgan brought to the city of San Diego that is hard for non-fans of that sport to truly understand in terms of who she is, the recognition that she has globally, the type of influence that she has, the social media reach. These are things that really only come with this sport. So, again, and we learned that, like, because obviously I work with somebody like this in Marty Caswell forever, who, if she never watched another soccer match, she'd be fine. But when we had Alex on the show, Marty posted it on social media. She couldn't believe the traction that she got, and like Serena Williams' husband retweeted that interview, and like it was a form of, engagement, as we say in the business, that just didn't exist for many athletes in the sports that we traditionally cover. So, again, it's not the type of thing that you hear a lot on sports talk radio.
And that's probably why Marty was surprised by it, right? Because there's the type of diehard fans that listen to sports talk radio, and they never hear about women's soccer.
Right.
Because sports talk radio is like, why would we talk about women's soccer? Their fans aren't here. Doesn't mean they don't exist. They're just not in this space usually.
Right. Absolutely. And because it's not the men 25-54 demographic.
Yeah.
And, when you're beaten over the head that's all you really have to care about. But, then there's also like some, I was given some Alex Morgan gear that was not my size. And I had it around the office, and I was trying to share it with people who were of the proper size for the gear that I was given. And even the looks I was like, oh, you want me to wear it? Like, why would you give me this? I was like, okay.
Was it pink?
It was not. It just had the mere mention of Alex Morgan's name on it. That was enough for some people to say, I don't think I will wear this ever. But thank you for trying to give me something, that says Alex Morgan Foundation on it. That you shouldn't have any taboo from wearing, but okay.
See, but if it said Trevor Hoffman Foundation, they'd be like, hell yeah.
Right.
Wait a minute.
Say like Nick Hardwick Foundation or
Darren, we have a comment here that I need you to see because this doesn't sound right to me. I remember back when Darren didn't like soccer. Was there a time when you didn't like? I guess when you were young, right? When you were.
No, I mean, listen, I think on radio, it did not have a purpose on radio.
Yeah,
I would tell you
more
that
sense.
the exact moment where that changed was the summer of 2010 during the World Cup.
Yeah, that's when I became a soccer fan. That's when a lot of Americans.
That's when I
became a
realized
soccer
we missed
fan.
the boat on coverage, World Cup coverage.
Yeah.
And that we should figure out a way to make it more a part of the show. But, I called soccer in college. And I love doing that.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
did my world exposure to it change a little bit? Yeah, of course it did. Did I think that working in sports talk radio meant that you could only talk about baseball, football, basketball, the big four, as they call it? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Jim Rome used to only talk about soccer to make fun of it. I think he talks more about it now in like a different kind of way, but that used to be his bit. Why would I talk about a child's sport? That's what my children play, like whatever.
Yeah, and the same issue, I think a lot of soccer fans are really sort of snobby and, tough to deal with. At the end of the day, like it's 22 people running around, no, it's complex, but it's not as complex as some people try to make it, and I think I got kind of wrapped up into that, into making fun of, trying to figure out how to discuss it on the radio show and probably taking an approach that gave off that impression. But yeah, that's the way I got my broadcasting career, was calling college soccer games for St. John's when it won the national championship in 1996. So
go 96 Johnnies. All right. We don't have a ton of time left. What do you want to talk about? I know what I want to talk about.
Well, John, did you watch a lot of football this weekend?
I did watch a lot of football this weekend. Not what I was going to pick to talk about because one, I don't know if you heard UCLA shutting down the football program. They're not really, but they should, based on how embarrassing they've been this season. They lost again. I don't need to talk about them. SDSU, by the time I tuned it in, they had basically gotten figured out by Washington State, and it was really sad.
By the way, the drive charts in that game. Now, I went to dinner in Tijuana Saturday night, but I went back and I looked at the drive charts. I mean, they had 10 first downs in this game.
Yeah.
And I think 4 of them came through the air. And you brought up a point when we had John Schaefer on about the quarterback Denigal. You said that he was inaccurate. And I said, how do you know that? He's thrown 5 passes. He's now completed about 50% of his passes through 2 games. And whatever scouting report you found that said he might be an inaccurate passer, at least through 2 games wearing San Diego State colors, seems to be accurate. That seems to be accurate. But those drive charts, the amount of 3 and outs, and you know, I mean, you go after the touchdown, they gave it up on downs. They had a safety against 3 and out 4 or 5 times, 7 punts in the game and 10 first downs. I'm not expecting Sean Lewis to come in here and you know, be some defensive minded, but like, can we see some inspiring quarterback play at some point? Now, again, this is 2 games in, and it's a new quarterback, but not like we ever really saw it last year. And if you can't get that right, if you're Sean Lewis, then I would say I'm not sure exactly what it is that he's doing here.
I told you last week that after I watched their first game, that my takeaway on Denigal was he had a really nice, really accurate deep ball, but that the short stuff was going to be a problem for him. And I think Washington State figured that out pretty quickly. I think they blew a coverage at one point, and he went over the top and beat him for a touchdown. And after that, they're like, all right, we're just going to play too deep.
That guy was wide open, by the way.
Yeah, I know. And it was blown coverage. And they were just like, yeah, you can try and beat us underneath. See if you can. And he couldn't. Do you want to mention the tweet you sent me right before we started recording?
What's not helpful is that I got sent the same tweet today. Danny O'Neill, this is Wisconsin quarterback Danny O'Neill. Badgers quarterback Danny O'Neill looked great in his first career start with Wisconsin. 23 of 27, 283 and 3 touchdowns for Danny O'Neill, who was injured.
I would take
freshman,
that.
Homesick. But again, Sean Lewis could be the nicest person on planet Earth.
He's got a coach.
And you got to get this part of the game right.
Yeah.
Like, we can't be sitting here going for a second straight season, what's up with the quarterback position? That's the one thing I would think that you want to tell me that you're taking your eye off of defense, or, maybe the special teams aren't the best that we've ever seen. Okay. But you were brought in here to revolutionize the offense. Full stop. You were brought in here because you were some great guy. And you did what you did against Stony Brook, and it's fine. They looked the part. I mean, that was convincing. But again, playing away, playing on the road. Maybe Washington State's a little bit better than I might realize, and if so, okay. But man, those drive charts were not good. I mean, just not good at all. 10 first downs in a game, and 4 of them I think through the air, and drive after drive after drive that kind of stalls out. The 3 and outs, like that sort of stuff is that it is not too early to say that it is concerning for what it is that will happen next against Cal in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I read a recap of this game on a Washington State website where they were like, man, San Diego State would have crushed us if their quarterback could complete an accurate pass, within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, and if Sean Lewis hadn't stopped handing the ball to Lucky Sutton, which I don't totally understand. He got 18 carries for like 88 yards, but they were like, that guy was tearing us up. And in the second half, they just were not. And it sounds like they would basically hand Lucky Sutton the ball on first down and then get into a 2nd and long and just be like, all right, Denigal, like, get us out of here. And it didn't quite work for them. So
yeah, I mean, it was 7-0, and then it was 29-7 and what felt like just a handful of minutes. So
yeah,
again, not truly being with the flow of the game to know, like that they just didn't have any choice, but they had to keep throwing it. So
yeah.
But again, it probably is unfair for me to spend a bunch of time just going through the box score, the drive charts to talk about it when I haven't seen it.
And I don't think we can really add anything to any sort of NFL analysis. The Island games were all good and competitive. Good for them. I do want to talk about the U.S. Open because Carlos Alcaraz is something.
He's great. Six Grand Slams by 22. It's pretty good.
He doesn't turn 23 until May. Like, he still has time to add on to that. And I put an article in Front Row Seat this morning that was already going like, is he on pace to be the best ever? Like, this is scary. And he had some shots against Sinner. There was one, I couldn't find it this morning, but there was one I saw yesterday that someone said, that looks like a slider out of the hand. And Sinner was running from the right to the left side of the court.
Yep.
And Alcaraz hit a ball that looked like it was going to go right where Sinner was running, and then it just took off to the left. Like, it bounced and it took off to the left, and Sinner had no chance whatsoever. And I was like, I haven't seen that kind of spin on a ball like that with that kind of accuracy in a really long time. That was impressive.
And did it like pretty much flat-footed from the baseline too.
He was so impressive. Like, I know it's like Alcaraz and Sinner, Alcaraz and Sinner, Alcaraz and Sinner. Like, this seemed like the weekend where it was like, no, it's Alcaraz. Like, Sinner might be the hardest guy he has to play against, but I don't know who's beating him at any time in the next few years, because holy crap, is he on top of his game right now.
I saw a suggestion from somebody who covers the sport that maybe we're going to learn that Jannik Sinner was not 100% after this tournament, which will sound like an excuse. And I do think you have to take the season as a whole. By the way, John Wertheim, Tennis Channel, Sports Illustrated, will be on the podcast at some point this week. We're just narrowing down a time for him. But I walked away from the same thought. Now, that's easy to sit and say at the end of that, because he just demolished him in that third set. I mean, the third set was such a beatdown that, you hate even suggesting, but like 4 sets felt generous to Jannik Sinner.
Yeah.
Like it kind of did.
A
Just
gentleman's
because you never really
match,
felt. Yeah, never really felt, but for, a couple of mental lapses in the second set, that Alcaraz was in any danger whatsoever. Now, again, even on the championship game, he ended up, I think he was up 40-15, and it ends up going to it ends up 40-40, so it's twos. But even then, you're like, nah. John McEnroe was trying to speak it into existence. He's like, oh, remember the French Open when the rules were, and like, it didn't happen. Just didn't happen that way at all. I mean, some of the thing that Alcaraz was doing was just, I mean, it's hard to make a compelling case, that there's somebody out there that you really think over the next couple of years is going to challenge him. Like, is there somebody not named Jannik Sinner who can climb into this conversation? And then you start like, well, like, how dominant is this guy going to be? But I mean, he's a joy to watch. I mean, I do. I love watching this guy play tennis, and just the way he gets up for these tournaments and how he acts afterwards. It's just there's a lot to like there. There's a lot to like, even if you don't like tennis, or even if you're inclined to say, well, why would I gravitate towards some Spanish tennis player? Because he's the goods. Like, he's the guy. Like, he just, nothing against Sinner. I'm sure he's got his own unique person, but it doesn't do much for me. I want these guys to be really competitive on the court, and the season was competitive. I mean, it was, but I'm with you. I felt like Alcaraz definitely pulled a full length ahead, to use a horse racing term, like a full length ahead of Sinner. So we'll talk to an actual expert in John Wertheim, who will talk to us about that as well. But what a big week in San Diego with the Padres back home, like we mentioned, the penultimate homestand. Just love using that word. Broadcasters do. Penultimate homestand of 2025. We've got SDFC hosting Minnesota United in what very well could decide the Western Conference and break these records that we've talked about. 3 more points means you move ahead of St. Louis and you move ahead of LAFC. So that'll be Saturday night. We have Del Mar Food and Wine Festival coming up this weekend. I've been eyeing that on Instagram, John. So trying to see if there's some way for us to contribute to that conversation. What else do we have? I mean, there's just all sorts of things happening here. So busy week.
And, we said a lot of bad things about SDSU. They come out and they beat Cal. That's interesting.
2 weekends. Yeah, 2 weekends. They have.
Is that not this one? Oh, they have the weekend off. Okay.
I hope not. Otherwise, we have a conflict on Saturday night.
No, you're right. You're right. It's September 20th. I was just looking at their next game and figuring one every weekend. I forgot that there's buys in college occasionally.
Mm-hmm. Any NFL takes for you? You worried about the Viking? Are you worried about the Lions, John? Are the Lions in trouble because they lost both their coordinators?
I'm not worried about the Lions, although brain drain is real. Do I have any NFL takes? I don't know.
Are the Dolphins dead? Are they in big trouble?
I was thinking about this when I was watching Daniel Jones carve up the Miami Dolphins. I almost had like a take like appeared in my brain. And I was like, how many times have we seen a team in week 1 end up at the end of the season being the complete opposite of what we thought that team was going to be, right? And I was thinking this through the perspective of the Colts. Like, that's not going to be the Colts. Like,
No.
Daniel Jones and the Colts are not going to be one of the best teams in the AFC, I don't think. And so it's like week 1 is everyone wants a take on all these teams, and there's such a small sample size. And I was remembering this thing that I heard someone say a couple weeks ago, and they were referencing college football. Like, if you watch week 0, if you watch a team's first game in a college football season really closely, you can see the moment that they all kind of remember how to play college football. Like, they all kind of remember what speed it takes, and they're like, oh yeah, we got to be faster than practice. That's right. And then it turns into a different game. And a lot of times who wins those early games is just who gets to that speed faster, like who gets there first. And I was like, I'm not throwing dirt on the Dolphins. I'm not praising the Colts. I'm going like, that was a lot of noise. I didn't take anything away from it except, the teams that we thought were going to be good still look like they're going to be good. Like the Eagles look good. The Packers look good. I didn't watch a lot of the Niners, but it looked fine. I wasn't even bothered by the commercials
Two-thirds
on
of the
Red
league
Zone.
will be 1-1 by the end of next week.
Right. I didn't even
Mark
care about
it down because it happens
didn't-
every year. 2/3 of the league will be 1-1,
Right.
and everybody will be living right in the middle when it comes to their record. That's just the way
Yeah.
this league operates.
Yeah, exactly. What'd you say yesterday? It's a league of random results.
It's a league of random results.
Yeah, and so I don't have any takes except it was nice that all of the island games were competitive. There was no moment where I was like, I could turn off this game. It's so bad. But I also wasn't watching any of them that closely. I just kind of had it on. I was checking in.
Yeah, I fell asleep. I actually dozed off, went on a bike ride, got home, and dozed off on the couch. By the way, Red Zone, like, not a big deal. Saw one
Not a big
commercial.
deal. Yeah.
Like there are so many. The actual commercial is, all right, let's go to the DraftKings board to see who our top impact is.
That I did not care for at all.
That was way worse than the Geico commercial that I saw. I mean, that was
100%.
way more like, wait a second, Scott Hansen, I don't come to you for this.
Right. Yeah, that was disturbing, especially when they got into like they got into like players that I've never heard
Prop
of.
bets, right? It was plus 1,500 to have a touchdown today. I'm like,
Oh
wait,
my
what?
god, yeah, the anytime touchdown prop bets. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is just a DraftKings commercial. This is
Yeah.
disgusting. I hated that so much. I'm glad you reminded me of that. That was terrible.
Yeah, that was way worse than Geico. For me.
Way worse than Geico. Way worse than all the commercials. The commercials were fine. Like it was fine. Speaking of football takes, how's the U.S. men's national team looking?
Terrible. And they're
What was that?
It's it's infuriating.
They're running out of time, Darren.
Well, that's the problem. I think that's the bigger problem here. Other than the actual play itself against South Korea is you would think that for a team that is hosting a World Cup, for whatever you want to say, even about some of the politics associated with doing this, but for a country that is hosting the World Cup, you would like to think that the national team is giving you some reason to be invested emotionally in the product, and it is doing the complete opposite. Total South Korea crowd. I mean, way more South Korean fans than there were U.S. fans, and there's a million reasons for it that we can't solve here when it comes to ticket pricing, whatever. The coach doesn't seem to have any clue what he's doing. He's taken over now. He has 9 wins, 7 losses, and 1 draw. He has no wins against top competition. Players are annoying. It's just not a product that is getting anybody excited about, and I think that's obviously part of it. Yes, like it's 90 minutes against South Korea. It'll be 90 minutes against Japan in a couple of days. But it's that this World Cup is coming here and nobody gives a shit about this product at all.
Right.
I mean, this is apropos of absolutely nothing. Okay. Of absolutely nothing. But I did mention that I was watching this Ireland-Hungary game. And my wife and I were going to go for a bike ride on Saturday. We did a lot of bike riding this weekend.
So did I.
My taint is not in a great place.
You gotta get those the underwear with the pad in it.
Then you look like you're wearing a diaper.
A little bit.
But I had to go meet her. She was taking a horseback riding lesson, so I was going to go meet her. And I was able to listen, John, to the Ireland-Hungary game because I clicked on a link from RTE Radio in Ireland, And I listened to the end of the game. Now, this was beneficial for me as a soccer radio broadcaster. That
Yeah,
I,
for
I get
sure.
to exposure. And this game ended at about 1 o'clock or so. I was meeting her at 1:30. So I listened to it in my headphones while I was on my bike. The U.S. is playing it too. We don't even have radio. Like, there's no radio broadcast for the U.S. men's national team. How is that possible? Now, I know what somebody's thinking. Well, who cares? Like, nobody, you just said it. Nobody's going to these games. There's no traction for the product. But how does the United States not have a radio broadcast? How is it possible that somebody like me, can ride around here? And I've listened to I've listened to Northern Ireland games too. And we don't have an actual, when they put the slide out on social media about how you can watch this game, there's never any link. We have no national radio broadcast of the United States soccer product in this country.
I
Now,
can tell
again,
you
that's
why
a
that
little
is.
thing that most people will say, my guy, get help. You need help. That's fair. But it does speak to the overall product, which is the project is just, it's hard to be optimistic. It's hard to feel good about this as somebody who has invested in it. It's hard to feel good about these players, about these coaches, about any of it. And, it really, really sucks that we have this opportunity with this tournament coming to this country and Canada and Mexico, obviously. And we're just going to blow it. We're totally going to blow it. And we're going to maybe create more fans because of this tournament, but they're not going to be fans of this. They're just not. And that's the problem. Tactically, there's a million things out there that you can read about Pochettino. We've been over some of this just in terms of his approach to it, but the U.S. is in trouble when it comes to soccer. But anyway, that's why I'm pushing all in on Ireland, which will be another disappointment, I'm sure. Anyway.
I'm not.
I mean, just everything in my life, I just gravitate towards losers. I mean, just everything except for Barcelona. It's the only thing that ever comes through for me.
It's because you started off as a Knicks fan.
I know.
Although they were probably winners back then, maybe not. This was not a good result. I sent you a book recommendation last night. Megan Greenwell, former editor-in-chief at Deadspin, before when it was good Deadspin, wrote a book about private equity ruining everything in America. And I'm still very early on. I think I'm like finishing up the introduction. And she she references all these things from these private equity companies that say that the number one priority of all of the companies that private equity owns, specifically in America, is making money. That's it. There can be no higher priority than making money. Actually, it's technically making money for the shareholders. There can absolutely never, ever, ever be a higher priority than that. You cannot come up with a good reason to do something if it does not make money. And I think this has infected all of our brains, at least all the businesses in America. And I bet whoever would be in charge of a radio broadcast for the U.S. men's national team is like, there's no way to make a profit on that. Who cares about country pride or coverage or anything like that? No way to actually turn a profit on that. So we're not going to do it. And that's very frustrating to me. That would be my guess.
You're right about it. I mean, it is always about the bottom line. And, the really, really good news is that we're infecting the rest of the world with all this American ownership that's being spread out everywhere and actually convincing leagues that it's a good idea to play games in foreign countries, It's great.
Right.
Before too long, you'll have teams relocating in other countries as well. Because it's like you said, always about what it is that's happening in the bottom line. So, it's not great, but here we are, still gravitating back towards it every day. Go Padres, pack that house. Taking on the Reds tonight. It'll be another big one. It'll be a massive night at Petco, I'm sure. All righty. I think we got to it all. As mentioned, we'll have Wertheim at some point here this week. We have a couple of other things that we want to focus on. Were you tempted at all to drive up to Pasadena and go see Oasis this weekend?
I was actually.
I think there was a lot of tickets that got released for Sunday's show.
Yeah, I was tempted. I'm trying to not spend a bunch of money right now, but I was very tempted. By the way, you said you think we got to it all. I had a very long prep list here that I put together for today's show. We got to everything but one thing. And I don't know that it takes more than 5 seconds, which is Baja Cup, Darren. The Baja Cup is what we're naming the series between San Diego FC and Cholos.
I
Love it. It's a great name. I hope there's an actual cup, but I hope it looks cool.
So simple and it's perfect.
It's simple and perfect.
Yeah,
Can't get
I mean,
enough
it's
of it.
really, it's really, really a smart thing. Yeah, we were a little late today because we were doing the Behind the Flow podcast with Adrian and Katya. We talked a lot about that,
They're excited about.
coinciding with Mexican Independence Day and
Oh
the
yeah.
partnership over the next 5 years. So, yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. As somebody who's crossed that border, who knows how many times to go watch Club Tijuana play, and still roots for them and wishes them nothing but success. I mean, that'll be an interesting one. I don't know what to expect when the actual game rolls around, but uh, that'll be great. That'll be really good for the whole region, I think.
It's
I think
coming
it's
up,
going to be
right?
a really, really positive thing. September 16th, I want to say.
So a week from tomorrow.
Uh-huh. We'll just have to hope our international players make it back safe and sound, John.
Yeah, and hope that. I mean, Luca De La Torre got 0 minutes in that game against South Korea, so maybe everyone's coming back nice and rested.
0 minutes, by the way. Ani Valakari was not even on the squad for Finland
Ooh,
in their World Cup qualifier. Now, I don't know. I hope that's not because of anything
An
that's happened
injury.
with him.
yeah.
But, you got 10 guys. This is another thing about the U.S. Soccer Federation. You have the under 20s, and maybe this is purposeful, but, the under 20s are playing in Spain, and you can't even get any details about it. You don't even know, like, who's starting. I mean, it's impossible to find out any information. Really, dude? You're sitting around on a weekend watching the U.S. under 20s? No, not necessarily. But I would like to keep tabs on the SDFC players, the
For
four
sure.
of them that are on that roster. None of them started, by the way. Eventually, I tracked down a roster and posted it on the Discord channel.
No
But,
Luca
like,
Bombino in the starting lineup? You got to be
why
kidding
is
me.
it so hard for these guys to just post a fucking lineup every once in a while and give us a little bit of information? The under 20 World Cup might not matter to a lot of people who are listening, but you know who it matters to? Like where Spain went on its run? You can shut this off anytime. When Spain started its run with the Euro and the World Cup and then the Euro again, where they were the best team in the world, it's because a group of those players started playing together at the under 20 World Cup. So that mattered. Argentina's won this more than anybody. Is Argentina pretty good at football? I think they are. So why do we pay no attention to this and deliberately prevent people from learning anything about what's happening in this fucking tournament?
Because we're just going to get Sonny to switch sides.